Hello, viewers, and welcome to Reminiscences. Our guest today is Alhaji Magaji Muhammed Inuwa, who is a 1966 science graduate from Ahmadu Bello University. He later trained as a metallurgist and worked in many private companies in Jos and in Kaduna, and was at one point the chief executive of Ajaokuta Steel company. He also served in the federal government as a special assistant to the Minister of Mines and Power, I think. I think he's now happily retired. At one point, I should add, even though he was very much in the private sector, he also served as a commissioner in the old Kaduna state between 1978 and 9. Alhaji Magaji, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
You are better at telling your own story than me, so can you take us back to your early start?
Okay. First of all, I mentioned I was born in Bakuri in Katsina State. My father came to Danja district, as it was called then, as one of the few young men who were trained in vernacular writing, and he was already a very learned Arabic person. So he was posted to Danja with the district head as advisor, recorder, maybe scribe, the same thing. So most of my siblings were born there. Later on, all headquarters in Katsina province were asked to move to the main road. So that's why Danja stopped being the headquarters. Bakuri took over. And I was born in Bakuri in 1942. Unfortunately, I was born 4 months after the passing away of my own father. So I never knew him, and that's how I got the name Magaji. As you know very well.
System inherited his.
Yes, that's right. So I was in Bakuri for my first 3 years or so. Then my mother moved to Katsina along with me, and her 2 elder daughters were already married in Katsina. So it was more convenient. She got married to a gentleman who was a cotton examiner. Most of the time he was posted outside Katsina, but she remained in his house, which was convenient for her and for me by the time I started school. I started school in 1950, and my life was shared between my favorite sister and my mother. When I quarreled with my sister, I moved back to my mother. Anyway, that's how I started. I was in the Central Elementary School in Katsina. So every morning we had to trek for about 2 miles to go to school. And with shoeless. Nobody was wearing shoes. When it was the winter time, we had cracks on our feet. And we passed through the general hospital and begged for grease to apply on our legs.
Grease?
Yes, grease.
Like old times.
That's right. So that's how I finished the elementary school in 4 years, like most people, and then we were then to move to middle school, but at the time, the middle school system was changed, and senior primary schools were open, and junior secondary school in Katsina. So those who had finished middle school by the time, they moved to junior secondary school. And we freshers, and those ahead of us by 1 or 2 years, we moved to senior primary schools. And there were about 3 or 4 senior primary schools. One in Daura, one is in Malumfashi, one is in Kankia, and our own in Katsina. Our own senior primary school was unique. We had only 3 permanent teachers. The headmaster, old Abdurandawa, who in his days was a specialist in English language. And we had Malam Mangoga, a natural studies teacher who was trained in that, and Arabic religious teacher, Malam Idi Daura, an elderly person. These are the only permanent teachers we have. But our school was next door to the higher teachers training college in Katsina. And students to this college were coming from all over the north. And we were transferred, or we were informed or assigned the responsibility of giving them opportunity for teaching practice. So every 2 weeks, we got new teachers from this school. And that was the first time I realized how wide the northern Nigeria was, because we had people from Maiduguri, people from Yola, people from all over. And our eyes were open to how diversity is. Anyway, we stayed in that primary school. I stayed for 2 years. Usually you should stay for 3 years. But I was one of those. The headmaster decided we should go and sit for the secondary school examination. Some of them you know, for example, Abidu, late Abidu Rafindadi was my classmate, his cousin Aminu Rafindadi, and a few others. Some of us passed, and I was fortunate to have passed also the interview to Barewa College. Abidu, for example, passed, but he didn't get Barewa College. And his uncle wanted him to stay another year so that he could get to Barewa. Unfortunately, he never did. So anyway, that's how I started Barewa College.
How challenging was it then to go to Barewa from Katsina, from your...
Very challenging, because the whole of northern Nigeria, only 50 students are taken every year. And so Katsina...
In Barewa?
In Barewa. So Katsina sometimes got 3, sometimes got 4. Usually we used the NA lorry. A lorry was given to us, sometimes with a teacher, sometimes with a senior student to be in charge. And in the rainy season, for example, we had a very tough time. It will start raining right from, say, Charanchi, and it continues up to Funtua. Then we stayed in the secondary school in Funtua. We slept on the desks there and resumed the following morning to Zaria.
So it was not a one-day journey?
It was 2 days.
To Zaria?
And unfortunately too, our boxes or handbags were soaked, and we were soaked. So it took about 2 weeks to get things dried up in Barewa. Anyway, we survived it.
Do you think going to Barewa had such an impact on you and your career subsequently by such an elite school?
We were not aware it was an elite school then. We thought it was just another school. And as young people, we behaved very well. Our first year, for example, the Queen visited Nigeria, and about 10 of us were selected to go and wave the flag.
In Kaduna?
In Kaduna. Yeah. We didn't know where we were going. They used the cattle train. We stood up in the carriage there, and we had buckets of yam and soup. By the time we...
To eat on the way?
Yeah. By the time we received there, some of our uniforms were marked with...
Was it just between Zaria and Kaduna you had to... It's such a long journey?
Yeah. It was such a long journey waiting at the railway station. Yes. Anyway, so and all the teachers were English people in Barewa then.
What led you to ABU? Why you went from... is it a straight transition, or you had to go and work a little bit before going to university?
No, it was a straight thing. In those days, after the 5 years, secondary school was 5 years then, you had to sit an exam to get into the higher school certificate. So we then went for the higher school certificate for 2 years. And when we passed that, going to ABU is straight.
Where did you do the HSC? Same Barewa?
The same Barewa.
Okay.
I was 10 years in Zaria because of another 3 years in Samaru. So 10 years.
And your choice of science, physics, and chemistry.
Yes, right from junior classes. A few of us were interested in science, and we had science club where we experimented with many things. One brilliant friend of mine, Dahir Ibrahim, he is a broadcasting or radio engineer. Even in class, he set up a radio and he could talk to me in my house. I was in Biniman, he was in Marlon Smith, and I was the chairman of the chemistry science class, and we had experiments.
In ABU?
Yeah, no, in Barewa. Fortunately, we never exploded anything. I was informed because we had to go to attend the scholarship board in Kaduna. I was informed at the scholarship board that I was going to the UK but they didn't know what I was going to study, but they are sending me to the UK. So I went to the secretary of the scholarship board, who was then late Malam Mandaku. I said, sir, how can I go for a course without knowing what it is? He said, don't you worry, we will sort it out for you. I will personally make sure they choose a good school for you.
In the UK?
In the UK. And I didn't hear anything. So when my friends started receiving admission letters to ABU, I went straight to the registrar's office. I said, I applied and I haven't got anything. So they gave me an admission. And I joined others. I went and started.
So what happened to the UK plan?
This is what I'm going to tell you. So we started our first year, I think, around August, September. Then late in December, some officer came from the scholarship board. Where is Magaji? Where is? I said, yeah, I am. Say, come on. Where you are going to UK? You are late for your course. Blah blah. I said, what course? He said, come to the office here. So I went to Mama Nako. I said, what?
The scholarship office?
Yeah. I went to him. I said, what is happening? He said, look, when I got your papers, I was so interested in getting you through. I put them in my drawer. And forgot about them.
Yes.
And so, when we have contacted them, you can go and enjoy your class. You will study agricultural engineering. I said, I never said I wanted this, sir. I think, let me finish ABU, then I will go and do that.
You are not attracted by the prospect of going to England?
No.
Abroad?
No. I think sometimes I'm adventurous. So one day when we were in the second year of HSC, I went to the principal's office, Mr. Rigby Smith. I said, look, I'm from Katsina, and there is somebody I know from Katsina who was trained by Shell, and he's working with Shell. So I want a scholarship from Shell. He says, okay, we'll ask him. So he wrote Shell, and Shell said, yes, they are ready to give me a scholarship.
Who was that person from Katsina Mine Shell?
Sule Kufi. So I was called for an interview in Kano by Shell. I attended. By that time, I had convinced another classmate of mine to look for the same thing so that we could go together. Sani Bello, late Sani Bello, who worked
in NNPC.
Yes, that's right. So we went to the interview together, and we got letters that we have been awarded scholarships, and places have been secured when we pass our exams. Places have been secured in Loughborough College of Technology in the UK. So the very fact that they didn't say Loughborough University, Loughborough
College of Technology.
I said, I wanted a degree, I'm not going.
You wanted university?
Yes. So Sani Bello went, and I remained in ABU. Fortunately for him, before they finished, their course was converted to degree course in Loughborough.
But by going to ABU to study chemistry, physics, were you setting up yourself out to be a teacher? Because it's not a professional course.
It wasn't a professional course.
Yes.
It was just pure science course. And to be frank with you, I never got interested in teaching or working for government in any responsibility. Fortunately for me, Professor Matheson, who was the dean of our science department and the professor of chemistry, one day he called me. He said, "Look, Magaji, there is a company, an English company in Jos. They asked for some science students to go during the holiday and work in case they get interested." So two of us went, myself and Mr. Samson Saa, a bit a tipman. Saa. Tipman.
Okay, T.
He was my classmate for HSC. So we went and I started work. Before then...
What company was this in Jos?
Makeri Smelting Company.
Makeri Smelting.
Yes. Before then, you know, we had a very good library in Barewa College. And there are many books, including classics books from the old Katsina College. Unfortunately, they had a fire sometimes and everything was burnt. So my library involvement all the time is to read for chemical engineering. I was fascinated by high class tubes and gas transmission. So when I went to the, I saw exactly my dream, because there was a furnace where tin and other additives were added, and it was heated up to 1,500 degrees, and the flue coming out was captured in cooler tubes, my dream, and then taken to what they call Draco cleaner, where they had fiber bags. So the thing by that time, after cooling, has become like powder, tin oxide. And this thing will take itself every 2 minutes, and that powder will drop. Meanwhile, the furnace, when we tapped it, it came out like this 1,500 degrees, and the top part of it was directed to one siphon, and the bottom part the other. The bottom part is clean metal tin. The top part is residue, which they call slag, and both are hot. And the tin was taken into kettles, taken by crane to other big kettles where it is settled, and if there are additives, you put it there. The slag was sent in a jet into a pit, water pit, and it's settled there until it's cool and taken out, taken aside. Then there will be another campaign, second campaign, where this slag is taken instead of tin. Slag was taken to the furnace, and it came out as alloy, iron and tin. And this alloy we fed a little at a time, because every time we are testing the result of what is coming up, sometimes you add the oil, which is part of the carbon. Sometimes they add the actual powder carbon. Sometimes we add this powder I was telling you about. So it was a very, very interesting thing. But when you apply yourself, you become an expert in it. So I started as what they call technical assistant.
So when you went to ABU just to see what was going on?
Yes.
Was
so
it a
when I graduated?
Okay.
I went to the. By the time
they gave
I
you
left,
a job.
yes, we agreed that they will give me a job. Not only that, they will send me to Imperial College
for training.
So they sent me, and I did 1 year. Usually I had lectures for their third year classes, and also my own special tutorial with the reader, Dr. Jebs. And by the end of the year, he said, "Look, the Senate has not approved your master's course unless you put in another year. Then by that time, if you are lucky, the Senate will approve. We are ready as a department, but the Senate of the university has not approved. So it's a question of your own decision. Where you want to stay another year and get the degree, we just give you a local recognition that you have done all this. And I remember my old mother and my brother was beginning to have a large family. So I pitied him. I thought I should go back and assist him. So I said, no, I'm going home. So I came to Makiri.
Okay, but then you are trained as a metallurgist.
Yes, yeah, metallurgist.
Yes. How long did you stay in Makiri, in Jos? And was it a strange environment for you from Katsina?
No.
Were you happy with Jos?
You know, when you start something when you are young, you are very adventurous. When I went for this temporary job, I got familiar with Jos. By the time I went to work, I knew the town, and I had a few local friends. So that was okay. And
how long did you stay in this private company?
About 4.5 years. And suddenly I was getting tired. I get bored easily. But my own complaint was nobody bothered to show me the figures, that this is what we spend for raw material, this is what we spend for our wages, this is what we get from the metal, this is our profit. Nobody.
But maybe you are not in management then.
I was in management because I was managing the plant. But this is accountants are upstairs doing that, and my two bosses, the works manager and his deputy, maybe they are called to such meetings. But myself, I was only a donkey, working harder. So I got bored. And as God will have it, Madam Musa Bello, who was the chairman of NNDC, used to come to Makeri for board meeting. So one day he said, look, Magaji, we have a problem with our textile company. It's an Indian. He has done a lot of bad things. And we have nobody who has been exposed to factory life except you. Why don't you come and join us? So, okay. So I went to Kaduna. We had a meeting with them. I said, yes, I will take it. I was 31 years old. And I was appointed managing director of a factory. And
this factory was doing textiles?
Yeah, textiles. They are taking cotton, making threads, and weaving calico and baft. And they were selling baft to the other textile factories like NTL, so they can print a tampa and things like that.
So suddenly here you are, you now have the figures in your hands.
Yes.
So what did you make of it?
I did very well to my own assessment. Because after the first year, for many years, they haven't shown any positive performance, and I had a profit. Then I had a lot of union palaver, which people thought I couldn't handle, and I handled. There was a day I sacked the entire 1,000 plus workers.
All of them?
All of them. I sacked them. I said, whoever wants a job should apply on condition. And by that time, Musa Bello had left NNDC. In Lagos, it's a PAMSEC. And Hamza Zayed has come in. After being accountant in ABU, he came in as managing director. And he called me and said, what's wrong with you? You second people like that. And it was the first of Ramadan. I will never forget it. Why do you do this? Whom did you consult? I said, no, it's my responsibility. So I will handle it. I didn't say you come and talk to the laborers. If they want to kill me, let them kill me. But what I did is in the interest of Notex. So after a time, about 80% of them applied on condition and they came back.
Was the Notex job a good job? You were challenged by workers? It was a good job.
Yes. But I also had lieutenants whom I recruited, and they took over from me, like Mansour Ahmed, who is in NPC now.
Yes.
I took him as my assistant general manager. Yes, I was lucky, I think. 79 came in, and there was a lot of political appointment and political jingoism, as they call it. Somebody from Kano was appointed managing director of NNDC. By the way, when I finished as commissioner, I didn't go back to Nortex. I came to NNDC headquarters as divisional director.
So after Nortex, you are appointed commissioner?
Yeah. After commissioner, I didn't go back to Nortex. I went to NNDC headquarters as divisional director in charge of engineering and construction. So I was doing that when the political change came. And somebody came from Kano. He was called, I've forgotten his name. It's a political animal anyway. By that time, Hamza Zayed retired. And this gentleman from Kano assumed, since I was in the second echelon of NNDC, and I was from Katsina, so he assumed Hamza has left me behind to take over from him. So he started being funny.
He wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, and I am not used to these struggles. So just then, maybe 2 years, my friend, my mentor, another mentor of mine, Dr. Ilwan Lukman, whom I knew during my time in Jos. I knew him as Deputy Inspector General of Mines. And he was deputy to Inuwa Gombe, who was the director of mines. So we became very close. I was in Makeri. They were looking after the mining of the tin. All the tin was brought to me. I was smelting it, and so on and so forth. I did something which impressed these two. Because nobody...
While you were in Jos with them.
While in Jos with them. So when Rilwan Lukman moved to Sokoto as general manager of the cement company, he wanted me to join him. I said no. I was still interested in Makeri. So 2 years later, he became minister. So
84, under Buhari.
That's right. He telephoned me from Lagos. I have orders from Buhari to move you to Ajaokuta immediately. I said, how do you, to move as what? He said, you are going to be chief executive there. I said, they are not smelting anything.
Chief executive where?
Ajaokuta.
Go to Ajaokuta.
So they are not smelting anything. They are just setting up a project. Why me? He said, it's decided. The president has given the order. You are to move there. I said, when do we want me to? He said, he wanted you there yesterday. I said, oh my God. So that's how I went to Ajaokuta. And that was a real challenge.
So tell us about Ajaokuta. Every Nigerian knows about Ajaokuta and how it hasn't worked all these years.
And every Nigerian doesn't know anything about Ajaokuta.
Tell us. We are privileged to hear from the chief executive officer.
You see, it's a very ambitious project. And it's supposed to be an integrated steel plant, which means it is also in charge of its own raw materials, as well as its equipment and whatever. But in the case of Nigeria, they wanted the mining to be separate. So they created a company for the mining the iron ore that Ajaokuta will require to smelt. And the allowed the limestone, which is important for smelting, they wanted to slip out of the hands of Ajaokuta. So whenever they decide to go on again, they will have problem, because the limestone has been given to Dangote. He's making all the cement from there. So that is major omission I'm telling you. And when they set up the factory, it was a contract between Nigeria and USSR.
Yes.
And in typical communist system, the first thing they did is to produce all the equipment that is required and transferred it to Ajaokuta. There was an erection center and an erection store where they had everything ready. It's just a question of when they are paid, they take out and install. And the installation has to be based on civil works. Civil works, unfortunately, they divided it into three. They gave Julius Berger, German. They gave Fougerolles, French. And they gave an English company to set up the training school. I told you it's an integrated steel plant. So they should have everything there. So this is the chaos I found. I was to look after maybe 1,300 Russians.
Russians?
Yes. Maybe another 600 Germans. Another 250 or so French. The English had left by the time I went there. So my responsibility was more like checking that they have produced so much concrete that we can raise a certificate for payment. And also handle their own personal problems, all these people. So it was very hectic. But Ajaokuta was conceived to start by producing rolling mills. There were 4 rolling mills in Ajaokuta. And the final nerve center is the blast furnace, which we all studied in chemistry in school. But that nerve center has never been completed. The same thing, there is another major event, which is called the preparation belt, where they mix iron ore, limestone, other additives, and blow hot water, hot air, and it becomes half smelted, and then it goes up to the top of the blast furnace. That one too has not been done.
Why? Why wasn't the nerve center not completed? And also this. Well, what's your insight as the MD? You were taken there to sort out the problem.
You see, have you been in government?
No.
It's a funny thing. Government decides to share its money between a bakery and a steel plant. And they all look at them as projects. So Ajaokuta was always staffed. Every 3 months they sent me money, Naira. You pay Julius Berger so much. You pay, I was just a clerk. You pay Fougerolles so much. You develop your own township so much. And that's all. And all these contracts, there is the foreign exchange part. In some cases 80%, in some cases 70%. But we had nothing to do with it. The ministry is handling it for obvious reasons. So we became a distributor of very little input of Naira. And every
so was
time,
it the case of underfunding?
Yes, underfunding.
Was that the key problem?
Underfunding is the key problem. And there is a very interesting population of young Nigerians all of them qualified engineers. And they are all, every morning they are working, whether it's raining, so you see them walking to the factory. And here was I, as little as I was, being driven in a Peugeot car. And it hurt me. I said, how can this be?
Why couldn't they be transported, this young
Because
engineers?
there is no money to buy the buses for them.
No buses?
Yes. There's no money to buy the buses. So, as a Muslim, I'm talking to you, things became so much that I was getting frustrated. So I went to Hajj and prayed before Kaaba. If there is a solution to this place, may Allah bring it. If no solution, may Allah remove me quietly. So we struggled like that up to another 3-4 years. And then political appointment came in. They appointed a board, and a very well-known gentleman who was here in Kaduna was a very friend of IBB, was made the chairman. Unfortunately, he came with the intention of making money to go into politics. So on the very first day we met, he said, look, I have been sent here to make money, so on and so forth. I said, unfortunately, there is no money here. But I will show you. So I opened my file. I showed him about 2 years. I said, every quarter, this is what they send. You can see, like this. Instead of understanding me, being a policeman, he decided to just blame me for everything. And I had other friends in the Northern Barracks. So they tell me what happens. I sit at a table for breakfast with them. This man will start shouting, this man in Ajaokuta, as long as he's there, nothing will be achieved. And since IBB he wasn't listening, he started to listen. And my friends told me, look, this is what is happening. I said, okay, let them sack me. I will not leave. I want to be sacked. So, 2 friends were appointed. One as farm sec, the other as minister. So, I had, my first son was a sickler, and he had a very bad gout. So I took him to Germany for treatment. And I was there. There was an announcement that all the management in Ajaokuta has been removed. And these poor people, some of them were posted to wrong places. So I came back. I said, oh, where have I been posted? So pressure on them was so much, and they didn't know. They didn't know how to sack me.
Duraiman was the minister?
Yeah. They didn't, because of my closeness to them, they didn't know how to sack me. So I said, look, I have a solution. Send me on sabbatical for 1 year. So I was sent for sabbatical. I stayed in my house for a whole year. Then after, because I never gave up, I went back. I said, I finished my sabbatical. What next? So where do you want to go? I said, it's not done like this in government. Although I'm not a civil servant, but it's not done. People don't choose where they go. They are posted. So the following day they said, okay, come and be the special assistant to the manager, to the minister, but you are not going to stay in Lagos. You are opening an office in Kaduna to look after all the NEPA projects in the north and so on. So it's like, okay, give me in writing. So one of the houses belonging to Geological Service was renovated and converted into an office, and I moved in there. Nothing to do, unless I create something to do.
Was that your last stint in public service?
Yes.
From there, what did you do?
From there, well, at least before I went, I made sure Urgasa got light. You know, this is new city, Gasa. I got them light.
Yes.
So I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I was there when IBB stepped aside. And when he stepped aside, like definitely his ministers would leave.
Yes.
And because I was only an appendage, so I left unceremoniously. So that's the end of my.
So that's the end of your career as a solicitor.
Yes.
Did you continue working in the private sector then? Why didn't you think of the private sector?
Yes, I have. I was involved in a number of private efforts. There are some mining companies. There are some engineering management company. I put it there.
This is consultancies, not really
consultancies, or board membership or consultancy. Yes. And it kept me happy. At least it gave me the opportunity to fly out for meetings and come back, break the border. So that's that.
When did you stop working altogether?
In 2005.
In 5?
Yes.
So since then you have not done anything, any economic?
No.
Why? Because it looks to me like that's almost 20 years ago, and you're still.
Yes. I told you I made some investments in my earlier days, and I'm getting dividends, and my boys also help me, so I'm all right.
You don't feel the need to work and make a living?
No.
Yes.
Because I have been hurt. I've been hurt so many times. By circumstances.
Okay, all this, you know what happened to you in Ajaokuta and all that?
Yes. So, incidentally, 2 days ago, somebody telephoned me and said there is a committee working on Ajaokuta, and they have asked that somebody should introduce them to me so that I said, look, I don't want anything. In fact, that was why I almost said I'm not going to have this interview because it will expose me to them again.
Do you think Ajaokuta will ever be sorted out? Do you think it will ever come on stream?
It needs a lot of private money.
Not government money?
Not government.
Government cannot fund it?
Government cannot fund it. They cannot fund it. They cannot. They don't have the commitment. And Ajaokuta is too big. It's not a question of separating it like that. When they were building Ajaokuta, they built 2 bridges. Both of them across the Niger. One going towards Benue and east. The other one, a railway bridge. It was built and completed before I was appointed. It is still standing in water.
What do you mean water?
Well, it's a bridge on a river.
Okay, but it's completed.
Completed.
It can be used.
Yes.
But it's not being used.
It's not being used.
Why?
Because they haven't extended the railway.
So all this infrastructure not coordinated, just done.
Yes. Because there ought to be a standard gauge system from the bridge to One Port in Port Harcourt, so that they can offload from big ships. And there ought to be another connection from Ajaokuta to the bridge. Within Ajaokuta itself, there are 65 miles of railway within the project, because most movement is supposed to be by rail from one section to the other. So, I can't see how some private person will come and put so much money here.
You don't see that happening, a private person? Dangote or some foreign...
Dangote is a very clever man. Even good projects, he starts them. As soon as they take off, he makes something, he leaves it and goes for something else.
So in other words, Ajaokuta probably will never see the light of day.
There will always be a miracle come from somewhere. A miracle could come.
It is a miracle.
Yes.
Tell us about the private Magaji Inuwa. How is family life for you? What are your private interests outside work? We've been talking about work.
Mm-hmm. I'm married, of course. I've been married for the last 54 years. And I had 5 children. The eldest died at the age of 36 from sickle cell anemia.
You say you don't do any regular work, or even irregular work. So how do you spend your day?
I go to the Islamic school and come back.
But not every day.
Not every day. I read.
What kind of reading? Is it also Islamic books or you read?
I get homework from the Islamic school.
No books of metallurgy or anything like that?
No.
That's all in the past?
It's in the past. It's in the past. I have decided to be free. And
but how is your typical day like? As a free man, the day you don't go to school, how do you occupy it?
It's only how many days that only 3 days of the week. I wake up as usual at prayer time, and I don't go back to bed. And I socialize. I have a few friends. You always find somebody has something you want to sympathize with, or somebody is in hospital you want to see, and so on and so forth. And,
so do you visit friends? Do you have a cycle where you spend time together?
No formal cycle. I watch television. I watch television usually an hour or so a day. And I have Netflix as well. If I see a good film, I watch it. And that's that.
Do you do any physical exercises to keep fit?
I walk.
Yes.
I walk.
Every day?
Every day. In the morning and in the evening.
Every day?
Every day. Yes.
Is it to the mosque or just really general walking?
General walking. Yeah. Usually this close is enough. I do 14 times. And it's enough. 14 times in the morning, 14 times.
What of diet? Do you have any restrictions on diet or you?
No, I don't. I'm supposed to be borderline diabetic, and I have been in that for the last 40 years or so.
40?
Yes. And I avoid certain foods, of course. But I never have any serious attack of diabetes, never. And the doctor says it's because I keep walking. Yes. I had an accident 2 years ago in my bathroom, and I hit my head against the bath, and I thought that was all. I thought there was nothing wrong. So after some days, my daughter who was here, she noticed that I wasn't properly balanced in my movement. So she told the doctor, and I went to him. They sent me for the scan.
Yes.
And they found there are blocks of blood here and there because of that fall. So they took me to Abuja on brain surgery and spinal cord, brain and spinal cord. And according to the doctor, it took him an hour and 80 minutes to clean everything. And I came out. I was asking them, "You said you are bringing me for an operation. When is it going to take place?" I said it was done in the morning. It was done. I said, "Okay." So I found there is piece of plaster here and here, because they did pinhole camera operation. And he said I was very lucky. It didn't touch my brain as such. It was on top of like a membrane over the brain. And
you feel good since then?
yes, immediately I felt weak because I wasn't walking properly. That's when I started using walking stick. But before then, I had a therapist in the hospital who was taking me around until such a time as I could walk with the walking stick. So I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any hobbies?
I read mainly. It's my hobby. Reading.
What?
Reading.
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 You are here in Kaduna, but you are a Katsina man.
Yes.
How much in touch are you?
I'm not Bakole man.
Okay.
I'm a Katsina man.
You are Katsina, okay.
Yes, because I told you my father went to
Bakole
for work.
Yes, yes. So you are a Katsina man.
Yes.
How much in touch are you with Katsina? Are you part of the community in some sense?
Yes. I have my own house in the town. Upper Marusa newly out.
Yeah.
And I also have in the GRA. I have a guest house. If you don't have anywhere to stay, you can go and stay.
I have a house near Upper Marusa, so it's not near you. Yeah.
So the guest house is mainly for friends who come from somewhere. By the way, these 3 boys, I built them a house each over the years in Katsina, because I wanted them to peg them in Katsina. So I had a big plot which my friends in the Air Force gave me. Mutari Muhammad was the first administrator. He gave me a big plot. So I divided into 4. 1 for my guest house, 1 for each boy. They have their own house. So I go to Katsina quite often.
Yeah.
Remember last time I told you I was going?
Yes.
I go at least once a month.
Once a month? By road?
By road.
Yes. Do you travel abroad?
I used to.
Yes.
I used to when I was connected with these companies, various companies. But now...
What are things like Umrah, holiday, stuff like that?
You know, it's very expensive now.
No, but you sound to me like a very comfortable retiree from all these things you are saying.
Comfort, you can have comfort without having money. Don't you believe so?
It's possible.
To go to Umrah now, I think will require about 4 million.
Easily. Perhaps more.
But I'm thinking of going in very soon. But the children have stopped me going alone anywhere. I have to go with one of them. And so it depends on their own convenience too. Like I used to go to see my doctor every 6 months. The last time I went was in February last year.
Where?
London.
Yeah.
And they didn't allow me to go. I had to go with one of the girls to sit with me in the plane as a patient. So that was the last time. So I decided to move all my medical conditions, which are manageable. I moved them here to 44. I have a doctor I see there. And I showed him all I heard from the London doctor, and he was quite agreeable with it.
Thank you, Alhaji Magaji Muhammed, for giving us this very frank, conversation.
Yes.
Letting us also learn from your long life of service. And thank you, viewers, for joining us in this edition of Reminiscences, and I hope you will join us again another time. Bye-bye.